back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys! So I am here today to do a book haul, which is always very exciting. I haven't done one of these for a while, but I have been getting books, so I'm not exactly certain where I kind of left off showing the books that I had, but I'm just going to show you some of the ones I've most recently been sent or picked up for myself, and hopefully that will cover most things. So let's get started. The first thing I was sent by the publisher, and that is this book, How to Survive a Plague, The Story of How Activists and Scientists Tamed AIDS, by David France. And this is a non-fiction book. It was actually the winner of the Baillie Gifford Award, which is a non-fiction award this year, so it's definitely one that has been hyped up a little bit. But it's quite a chunky read. It sounds like it's going to be a really interesting one. I am certainly interested in scientific topics, particularly something that affects as many people as AIDS. It sounds fascinating and horrible all at once. So I'm really, really interested in this topic, and I'm definitely excited to sort of see where the author goes with this and what sort of research has been done, and how people are trying to stop the spread of AIDS. So really interesting, can't wait to pick this one up in the new year. The next one is a book that I picked up for myself when I was in Bath, so if you've seen my Bath vlog you may have seen some of these, but that is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. This is again a non-fiction book. It is basically, as it says, the history of humankind. I don't know an awful lot more about it than that, but I've seen a lot of my friends read and enjoy this, and I've seen a lot of people generally talking about it. It always seems to be on the bestseller tables, and it always seems to be a book that is recommended when you go into bookshops and ask for non-fiction. It's just one of those books that a lot of people have been really enjoying, and there was recently a sequel or a companion novel released which kind of looks into the future. This one's all about the past. I'm very intrigued to sort of see where the author is going to go and what directions they're going to go in. It says fire, farming, money and science on the back, but that's all it really says. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Again, it is a really, really chunky book, so I'm hopeful that I'll get some time in the new year to read this one. Next up, a couple more that I picked up in Bath and haven't got round to yet. The first one is The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. I am really excited about this one because I've heard so many people absolutely love it. It is a non-fiction all about the life of octopuses, which sounds a bit random, but apparently it's really well written and beautiful and loads of people love it, including my friend Eleanor and a couple of other people I know. So I really wanted to pick it up. This one is actually quite short, so I'm happy about that, and I may get to this one a bit sooner. Apparently it's really moving and interesting, and they're really, really intelligent creatures, so I'd love to learn about them. I don't really know much except they have 8 legs, so I'm excited to give this one a go. Moving on to some fiction now. The first of the ones that I picked up that's fiction is Yellow Blue Tibia. This is by Adam Roberts. I'd never heard of it before, but it's based in a sort of fictional version of, I believe, Russia, and it's set in 1946. And in this year, a group of writers in Russia are called together and they have to come up with propaganda about an alien invasion. Lots of people are fooled by this, and then a few years later, once I guess stuff changes in the political climate, they are told that they have to forget everything that they came up with and they have to just erase that from their minds and go on with their lives. It sounds pretty interesting, and I've seen some really good reviews from friends of mine since picking it up on Goodreads, so I'm definitely more excited to read it now that I've seen other people saying it's great. And also it's got a quote on the front from Kim Stanley Robinson saying it should have won the 2009 Booker Prize, so obviously he rates it as well. I have a couple of self-published books that were sent over to me by the authors. So the first of those is this one called The Legacy Chronicle, The Shield by T.H. Poole. This is the second one in the Legacy Chronicle series, following on from The Sword, which I read and reviewed very recently. I really enjoyed the first book. It made my shortlist for SBFBO, and I really, really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely excited to see where the story goes next. This is certainly a classic epic fantasy in the true sense of the word. It has loads of characters, a big sprawling world, a massive adventure, lots of evil people trying to influence people, and it's a really great fun world. So I'm really excited to see where the second one goes, and I will certainly read this one fairly soon once I finish all the other SBFBO
finalists in the new year. Another self-published book that I was kind enough to be sent is this one, Where Loyalties Lie by Rob J. Hayes, and this one is actually one of the finalists for the SPFBO, so I will definitely be reading this early in the new year. I'm very excited to pick it up because it's about pirates, and that's all I really needed to know. In fact, I don't know anything but that, but I'm really excited to try it because it obviously won the other judges' category, so hopefully I will love it, and I'll definitely report back on this one to you guys and let you know what I think. But the cover is stunning and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. The next one I was sent by the publisher is called The Wolf, and this is published by Wildfire, and it's written by Leo Carew, and this one comes out on the 5th of April next year, so a fair way off still. Apparently this is a historical epic fantasy series, and it's the start of that series, and it's about two very different types of people called Southerners and the Anakim. And I guess they lead very different lives, and apparently there is a very fragile peace between the two of them, the two different nations, but of course something is going to happen that will test that. So it sounds good. I love a good epic fantasy, so I'm happy to have this, and I will certainly try and bump it up my TBR if it sounds interesting to you guys. And now the final 5 books are all books that I recently picked up when I was in London with my friend Eleanor. I will link her channel below. We had a lovely day out in London going around some bookshops and just generally hanging out. It was very cold and snowy, but we still braved the weather, so these are what I bought on that shopping trip. The first one is this, Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I've seen this book floating around for years. I believe it's the start of a series, and I think the rest of the series is done, or at least it's nearing completion. I'm not certain, but I've heard really good things about this author from some of you guys recently in the comments. I know some people have been reading her work and they've been recommending her to me, and it sounded like it would be an intriguing read. It follows a young woman called Carrigan Gladden, and she apparently is the sort of person who is always in a fight no matter what, and one day out of the woods comes this horse charging at her with a rider over its back who has been shot by 2 arrows, and it's looking like he's going to die very, very soon. But he is a Green Rider and he has sworn to take this message to King Zachary, and so with his last breath he tells her the message, and she has to take over his role as messenger and go and deliver this message. But of course there is someone chasing him called the Shadow Man, and I guess she gets involved in all of that too. So it sounds really intriguing and quite different. So yeah, hopefully I can read this soon, and I'm excited to give it a go. The next book I picked up is this one called Kintu, which is a proof copy, and this one comes out, I believe, in January from One World. Apparently there is a young man called Kintu, hence the name of the book, and he puts a curse on a family that will plague it for generations. From that moment on, all of the descendants of his will find themselves caught up in this curse, and they will struggle to break it for years and years. Apparently it's kind of like a blend of the oral Ganda tradition, mythology, folklore, and history as well. So it sounds definitely a bit different, a bit maybe fantastical, or at least the curse element does. I'm intrigued and I want to see whether I like this or not. I did read the first few pages and it seemed good, but quite blunt, so I'm excited to see how it goes. Next up, I picked up Austral by Paul Macaulay, who I've heard of many times, but I don't think I've actually read any of his work. He seems like he's a very well-known and well-rated author by many people, and this sounds like a pretty fun SFF story. It's the story of Austral, who is a husky, which means that she is genetically altered and adapted for the climate of the Antarctic Peninsula, feared and despised by most of its population. She's been a convict, a correction officer, in a labour camp, a consort and a criminal. And now, out of desperation, she has committed a kidnapping of the century. But before she can collect the ransom and make a new life elsewhere, she must find a place of safety in a landscape altered by climate change and evade a criminal gang. It sounds like there is a lot going on in this book, so I hope he can pull it off, and it's quite short, but it seems like it's going to be a really fast-paced SF story, and I'm definitely up for that, so I'm going to hopefully read this sometime soon. Next up, I picked up a fairly traditional-sounding fantasy book, because I love a good old fantasy occasionally. This is book 1 of the Runespell trilogy, The Runes of War by Jane Welch. Never heard of it before. It says it's set in a new ice age where barbaric tribes of the vast northern tundra join forces under the bloody rule of the warrior chief Morbak. In the name of Morbak's cruel god, Val Peor, they march south to claim dominion on the world. Only the frontier castle of Torra Alta stands in the way. Within the walls, Baron Brownwolf prepares his defences. For 1,000 years, Torra Alta has stood triumphant, unconquerable, perched on the spectacular pillar of rock where dragons once had their lair. But ominous sounds emerge from the labyrinth of the dragon-built tunnels beneath the castle. Sabotage is feared, and against the Baron's orders, his young son Caspar accompanies the party dispatched to seal off the tunnels. And this blurb goes on for ages, so I'll stop there, but it definitely seems intriguing. I guess this on the front cover is the castle of Torra Alta, so yeah, love a good classic sort of fantasy. This sounds like it would be that. And finally, the last one I picked up in Forbidden Planet is Catherine M. Valenti's The Glass Town Game, which is a new release, I believe. I hadn't actually heard of this before it came out, but I believe it's a children's or YA story kind of focused on the Bronte sisters. They've invented a game called Glass Town where their toy soldiers fight Napoleon and no one dies. They make believe this land to help them escape from a harsh reality, as they're about to be sent away to boarding school, but then suddenly a magical train shows up and whisks them all away to the real Glass Town, and the children trade the moors for a wonderland of their own. So it sounds like it's kind of a kids' fun YA-based story. It's got a beautiful illustration on the inside of the 4 main characters, and I'm really looking forward to giving this a go. Like I said, not heard of it, but I have heard of and read some of Catherine M. Valenti's other work, and I really enjoy her style. She's very lyrical and beautiful, so I'm hopeful that even if it's not the best story, it will be beautifully told. We'll see. I'm intrigued, and I don't know anything about the Brontes either, so hopefully you don't have to enjoy the story. Who knows? But yeah, that is the last one I recently picked up. So that is everything, guys, for this haul anyway. I'm sure there will be some more coming because Christmas and gift cards and all that. Thank you guys for watching. Do let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or you plan to pick any of them up. And I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.